Welcome once more to our weekly program, Health Talk with Dr. Manganyi. Today, I'm really so excited. It's a new season. It's springtime. Everything is springing forth, and it's very exciting to see everything turning green. Everything, even those lifeless things, trees, grass, they're budding up, and it's happening. It's happening everywhere. And let me take this time to welcome Mana family and our Facebook viewers to this week's show or program. And before I even go much further, I would want to take this time, to pay tribute to our parents, our General Overseer, Pastor Swag, and our Senior Pastor, Pastor Jolene, for, continually trusting, us as sons in the house to, with the saints of God to begin to talk to us, about things that affect us, that affects our families, that affects our children. And I'm sure by now that quite often in our discussion, we more often refer to our children, more so because children are the letters that we're sending into the future. They are either arrows that would go where we would not go. You remember when God was talking to Abraham that look this way, look that way, and look everywhere. And, as far as your eyes can see or could see, such a place was given to Abraham. But truth is, Abraham did not live to occupy all those lands and places, but his descendants continued to flourish in these places. And so today, I want to continue to labor on what I've been doing in the past 2 sessions. I've been talking a great deal about substances, and and not that I have a serious interest in substances, but I'm very much aware of what these substances are able and are capable of doing, to our children. And unless we stand up and we do something about these substances, and they will continue to overpower and overcome our children, and by doing so they would have overcome the future that we would have hoped for our children. And today I have wanted us to look at the same subject, but look at it differently. And previously I referred to, we spoke about people who could be making the substances available to our children. Could be powerful people, and all of this could be prominent people, and we're thinking these people are strong, they're powerful. There's very little that we can do as families, as parents, and as society to stop them. But today I wanted us to look at the same subject, and say, but then as families, as parents, as a community, is there a role that we are playing to enable this to happen? Are we enablers? Are we creating an environment where, drug dealers and those that sell these substances to our children to strive. Are we sending our children straight to the hands of these people, or are we are innocent as families in as far as this matter is concerned? And so I wanted to say, one, as families, as parents, is there a role that we are playing? Is there something that we are doing that facilitate for for this to happen? Is there something that we're doing that is perpetuating these conditions to thrive? And the answer would not be an answer of yes, there is a role that we are playing that influences or that contribute, that makes or send our children straight into the hands of these people. But then obviously the situations will differ. It will not be a one size fits all kind of a situation. But today I wanted us to say, for instance, look at few examples and check how this would contribute or send our children straight into the hands of the people that we so much want not to have any role or influence into our children. Let's look, for argument's sake, let's look at a couple that is undergoing, say, a divorce. These two people are fighting, and they are all fighting to win, and there are children in the midst. And when you are fighting, all you are doing is fighting to win, right? And sometimes is fighting to win at whatever cost. And while you are doing that, while you are focusing on winning the battle that is before you, well and good, husband is fighting, wife is fighting, children, they're also fighting to survive, to feed. They're asking themselves whether they have they've had any role to play in facilitating, or do they have? Are they to be blamed for what is going on? And why didn't they see it coming? Why didn't they stop it? Why didn't they do this? Why did they do that? Maybe if they were good, if they were better, because sometimes as we fight as couples, as we fight our own battles, sometimes we throw children in. These children, you spoil them. They don't listen to me. They listen to you. They this, they that. Sometimes, as parents, we have our own way of sending children into the hands of the dealers. Because when things are so disorganized, their normal lives are disrupted, and the new normal, which is quarrels, which is fightings, and one parent coming home drunk and using vulgar and everything. There's no respect anymore. There's no you do not consider the feelings of the next person. Your harsh words are used and everything else. Children find this hard to deal with. Children find this hard to digest. Children find the environment in which they find themselves very toxic, and unhealthy. And they so much want to escape from this kind of situations. And, we send them straight into the hands of the fowler. We send them straight to the hands of those that are waiting by the wayside, to grab them, welcome them, and begin to show them how much they care, and begin to expose them to things that will assist them to deal with situations and circumstances that confront them. And before we know it, we have lost them. Of course, there are situations where sometimes we know for sure that that's not the only way in which our children we lose our children to drugs and substances. We read every day about children that are hijacked, and children that are kidnapped, children that are enticed, get into cars of people that do not know, and they are given drinks which ultimately lead into them being exposed into, sometimes they are kept captives in some places, dark places, and they are fed with more drugs until sometimes, even when we have ultimately successfully followed the lead and tracks, and we find them, but we find them already having been exposed to the substances. And in this instance, of course, I would argue that we had no role to play, except for the fact that as parents, we had to be as vigilant as possible. We need to to close up all stops to ensure that our children are not exposed to any sort of form of danger, because if we have promised our children, say after watching a movie, that when the movie finishes at 12:30, I will be there to pick you up. Sometimes we need to be there, sometimes even earlier, because if that does not happen, we're opening up our children for other people to take advantage of such, and at the end, we will be crying, and we would blame ourselves. We will. And the damage that would ultimately be caused would not be something that sometimes is easily rectifiable. But maybe the other things that which I've alluded to the other time is that sometimes the lifestyles of dealers or people that are already using appears to be very attractive, very appealing, very smart. They these people dress well. They seem to be having everything and anything in control, and our children quite often get attracted to this kind of lifestyle, and before they know it, they are hooked into something beyond and above what they can control. And sometimes it therefore becomes our responsibility as families, as parents, to be interested in the kind of friends that or the kind of friends that our children befriend, the kind of people that our children associate with, people that they hang around with. We need to be interested. We need to know all of these things. Sometimes as parents, we do not even know who is a friend to our own, and we don't think that it's our business. We don't think that it's something that we should show any interest on, and and then, you know, sometimes we get to know about the friends very late, when there's very little that we can do to undo what would have been caused. Maybe the other thing that I wanted us to maybe also consider, it's our children are very sensitive people. When there's a void in the family, say for instance, a parent, a guardian, someone who has been there for the child, someone the child have looked up upon, suddenly this person is removed. Say this person passes on. This person, is no longer there for this child. Quite often, we don't pay attention to this. We think that the child would gradually, as time goes by, come to terms with the loss, and we're thinking that time heals everything. Let me tell you today that there are things that cannot be healed by time. There are things that would need us to work on, be very conscious of these things, and work around the clock to try and address this void. When you lose someone so close to you, sometimes part of you dies with this person. Part of you, is buried with this person. Part of you, it's become very lost. Sometimes it's something that you will never recover from. And if we have assumed that you will recover, what often happens is that you because of this loss or because of this grief, you try and find something that would make you deal effectively, deal in a better way with the loss, with the grief, with the pain, and that the loss has brought to your life. And it is just unfortunate that substances happen to be very close and easily available, and it's quite often they are found to be a very close friend that you can rely on. You can smoke your Zol and sleep. You can sniff whatever it is that you're sniffing, and you have a good night rest. You forget about your loss, you forget about your pain, you forget about all the changes that are going through in your life. And before you know it, you are addicted. The aim wasn't for you to be addicted. The thing that you wanted to do was to deal with the pain that you were confronted with. The aim was for you to deal with what was wrong in your life, and unfortunately you found a shoulder on something that is very harmful. Today I've wanted us not to go very far, but to go back to where we started, where I said there are things that we do as families. There are things that we do as couples that indirectly affects our children, indirectly sends our children into places where we do not want them to go. And it's something that there's something that we can do to help the situation. There's something that we can do, to alleviate some of these challenges that ultimately confront our children. From the example that I gave about, a family that undergoing a divorce and all of that, I think it became very important this therefore become, this become our responsibility as a couple, to know that as we undergo, a divorce, as we undergo whatever challenge that we are going through, it does not only affect us, it affects our children as well. And we therefore have a responsibility that as we fight, for instance, you have to adopt a strategy that you're not going to fight dirty. You have to adopt, you have to be very sensitive to your children. You still love them. You assure them that, whatever it is that is happening, it's not because they have done something wrong. The divorce is between you and your wife, but you remain a parent. You will always be there for them. The mother should always reassure the children that despite and irrespective of what's going on, she will remain the mother and she'll be responsible. And not much will change. Daddy will always be there. Mommy will always be there. This reassurance, they calm the children down. They make them to go to bed and still sleep and still be able to concentrate. They don't need sleeping tablets. They don't need these things which ultimately would get them addicted. They don't need a shoulder to cry on from a friend who will say, you know what, I know what you're going through. I've gone through the same thing, but for me to cope and introduce them to something, and that something is introduced by a friend. As a parent, you know nothing about it, and before you know it, your child is a junkie. Your child is into things that you never imagined. And as parents, we have we have a role to play. It's not all lost. If we leave it to the community to do something about it, we leave it to the law enforcement officers to deal with it. We are neglecting our responsibility. We even after learning that your child is in substances and is in this gang, and you do not have to throw away your child. You have a responsibility, as a parent to nurture your child, to continue to love them. Sometimes it's in loving them that with their flaws, with their flops, you love them when they're not lovable. You love them when everybody's laughing about them. Sometimes these things happen to good people. Sometimes your child is in substances and you are a pastor of a church. Sometimes your child is in substances and you are a parliamentarian. Sometimes your child is in all these things and you are a respectful, respected member of a community. These things will happen to test you sometimes, and to check your true character. So as parents, as families, when these things have befallen us, it is time for us to stand up, be strong, be available for our children, support them, take them to these rehab centers, and do anything that you can as a parent to be there. Sometimes with rehab, sometimes it's successful, sometimes not. Don't throw in a towel. Be known that sometimes you lose a lot of money in the process. You try this, you try that. I know of families who will take their children to these rehab centers, and the first weekend when the child comes back from the rehab, the child, is found to have blacked out in somewhere because he was into the substances again. And, you have used a lot of money. sometimes when you are dealing with something as valuable as your children, don't even consider the money part of it. It's the life is more valuable than money. Don't say I'm giving up, I have lost so much money. I think sometimes we maybe we'll have to learn from examples that we get from the Bible, where we are told that when Paul and was in and some people were in the boat, and when it started they lost a lot of cargo. So sometimes you lose a lot of cargo, but sometimes cargo is nothing. You can still recover. Your business can close down. You can still recover. You can still have, open another business, and God can still bless you. But imagine you have lost something as precious as life. Life lost cannot be recovered. So with this few words, I would want to encourage us as families that when we found that our children are on the other side, they are addicted to this, addicted to that, we should not throw them away. It's not even worth it to consider blaming ourselves. What we have to do is begin to identify, now that we are in this situation, what is it that we can do? Begin to consult other people. You'll be so surprised that as you begin to talk to other people, there are other families, there are other parents who have been through the same, and they have found a way to beat this thing. So with these few words, family manner, and our Facebook viewers, I think you got something today, something so that you would use in further, enhancing our families, keeping our children safe, and ensuring that we do not lose them, to the dark world out there. Family, until next time, God bless you.